Dead Cells, originally released in August of 2018, available on all modern platforms. Retailing for $24.99. Dead Cells is a roguelike with some Metroidvania elements. You play a character that is forever exploring a series of levels, which will of course have different layouts each time you see them. And whenever you happen to reach your unfortunate end while exploring, you will end up right back at the start. As you go through levels, you will find yourself fighting various monsters. They drop two kinds of currency for you. Money to use in shops and is sometimes used to open particular doors. They will also drop Dead Cells, the game's namesake. These are used between levels to permanently upgrade your character, and also to unlock new pieces of equipment. Although, for most of the equipment, you will also need to find the schematic for the piece of equipment, which is dropped off of enemies. In your early runs of the game, you will always have the choice of the same three items, two of which you can take at the beginning. The most basic sword, the most basic bow, and the most basic shield. You can spend your dead cells to make it so these are instead random weapons that you've unlocked. You then go to the level you're going to get tired of real quick, because it's the level you always start on. The good news is, there are multiple ways out of this level that lead to multiple different levels. And even more if you happen to have any of the DLC that's been released. And if you can get to an exit fast enough, you actually get a bonus between levels, in the form of a very nice piece of equipment, and some dead cells to make up for all the enemies you didn't fight, presumably getting to the exit so fast. Doing this, then immediately meeting your fate to start over is a good way to actually unlock things quickly. As you wander the levels, you might encounter several things. A reference to another game that will unlock a piece of equipment that's a reference to that game, a shopkeeper, or containers allowing you to upgrade one of your three stats. And your stats are color-coded: red for brutality, purple for tactics, and green for survival. Each one of these will give you more health, and each one of these will affect particular weapons at your disposal. Conveniently, all equipment is also color-coded. A piece of equipment with a red background receives a bonus from brutality. Same goes for a green background or a purple background. As with all roguelikes, you will eventually get tired of seeing the same levels over and over. However, this game does have multiple different paths to somewhat alleviate that, and you can sometimes get a bonus for going to a level that you don't go to as much as others. The bonus is in the form of more money dropped from enemies, along with more dead cells. Now, of course, in every level you will be dealing with a lot of enemies, and that will feel different depending on what weapons you have on your person, as weapons are extremely varied in this game. And truthfully, it's the variation in the weapons that's going to keep you coming back and keep the game from feeling too repetitive. Of course, once you've taken the upgrades to have random weapons available to you at the beginning, there will be inevitably times where you have gotten three weapons you simply don't like. Of course, that's not really much of an issue because you know exactly how you can start everything over again. So is Dead Cells worth your time and money? Well, it is endlessly replayable, and it's rare to have a game that's not a puzzle game that is truly endlessly playable. Personally, I've owned this game for several years, and I find that I play it in bursts. I will play it very intensely for a number of weeks, then I put it down and don't touch it for months on end. But then I get an itch and I start playing it again. Partially it is that it gets repetitive seeing the same levels, but it's more when you see the same boss over and over again, as bosses' movesets and patterns do not change. And because of that, there are some bosses that if you don't have the right pieces of equipment, you're probably not beating them. Of course, with enough time grinding cells, you can get a whole lot of health restores that will make any boss doable, even if your equipment is less than ideal. It's also worth noting that there's a lot of stuff hidden in this game, to the point that even after owning it for a couple of years, when I go through a burst of playing it, I still find new things. So yes, I do absolutely recommend Dead Cells, and I also recommend picking up the DLC for it, not necessarily all at the same time. I think it's a good game to play the base game for a bit, and when you want something a little different, pick up one of the DLC packs, and then repeat that process over the next few months. Unless, of course, you happen to find a deal on any of the digital storefronts where you get it all in one nice bundle at a low price. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.